For our final day of School Psychology Awareness Week, I went to Dutch Fork High School to talk to Dr. Bill Sobotowicz. He focused more on how they work directly with community professionals to help our students inside the classroom and how they can help our students transition to the next phase of their life.
We do a broad gamut of folks. Probably one of the largest contingent of folks we work with would be the mental health providers in the community. That would include family therapists, clinical psychologists, physicians, psychiatrists. All those individuals oftentimes are working with our students and are providing services. At times we'll interface because we'll be working together to try to maybe get help for students onto something we call a 504 plan. Lots of times we'll collaborate with clinicians so they have a better idea what's happening with the students. And along with that, as many of other people, we work with maybe probation workers through DJJ, sometimes guardian ad litem who the court have appointed as guardians for these students, sometimes attorneys. So it's pretty much whatever. The psychologists are sort of the conduits that kind of help function and flow, get information flowing, and making sure the services are being provided. We do have differences. Obviously, we're working on the same purposes. It's to help children and provide services for them. The way we go about diagnosing things are a little bit different. The community mental health folks primarily use what we call the DSM-5. They have their own criteria for identifying and providing services for students. We obviously do evaluations based on the criteria of state and federal regulations for special education. But there's a lot of overlap. And we obviously, by our communications, working together, we learn how to speak the same language. Our job is to take these students, make sure they're getting the help and support that they need when they come back. Because if they're not getting the medication, the counseling, the group work that they needed, we're going to get the same results that ultimately got them out of the schools in the first place. And they're out for a lot of reasons. Can be hospitalization, adjudication, how students end up at DJJ. Some students may be in a mental health center, short-term usually, sometimes long-term residential placements. And when they come back to us, they all have one thing in common. They've probably missed a lot of school. Some of them are in settings where they do get some education, some not as much. But our job is to try to help them make that transition back. Certainly, we do work with a parent, but it's also important to bring the student into the equation as well, too. And what we want to identify is what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and ultimately I like to look at what are their passions, what is it they want to do, what are they excited about. You know, oftentimes the parents have an idea of what they should be doing with their life. Students ultimately choose the path they feel that they really want to be engaged in. You know, the old saying, find what you love and you never work a day in your life, is so true. And I think our job is to try to help students connect with those things. Sometimes we find students really have no idea. Sometimes parents have done so much for their young people that they really don't have an idea. Sometimes I recommend maybe in the summer getting a job, getting out there and finding out what an education really does mean. Some of these kids come back after working for minimum wage with maybe not the most kindest of bosses, that maybe they want to get back and reconnect with something important. But yeah, I think helping parents also identify where the kids are at. You know, some of the kids maybe want to get into a 4-year college, but they've had a rough start. Their grade point average isn't very good. So we might help them realize that maybe starting off with a 2-year college like Netherlands Tech, getting there, getting your skills developed, and then transferring later down the road is one option. Another possibility is maybe students who really struggle with math or some area they can't get those 4 credits to graduate. We might help them go get a GED. It's another route. They can still get into Netherlands Tech or whatever and still get where they want. So our job is to provide information, but also to help the young people realize what is their passion, what is it they want to pursue.